take a look at this connector. This was smashed as a result of a collision. You can see the connector housing got pinched down and distorted. We're going to replace this connector. This is a two-way. We're also going to dive into the nasty 38 pin, which is this. By the end of this video, you'll know how to remove and replace these housings with a minimal amount of effort and a minimal amount of tooling. Speaking of tooling, let's take a look at what you're going to need to disassemble these connectors. Here's one of the kits available. You can see you have a lot of options with this. It's also very expensive. But how about this at the dollar store? That's really all you need to take these connectors apart. So let's start taking one apart. It's always good to look at the components. What makes a connector? Well, terminals, the metals, the wire, the seals. A secondary retention housing. This is designed to keep the locking tab in this connector in place so the terminal doesn't slide out. And finally, in some cases, you have a protective shell. Protect you against the elements, a little dust, a little weather. So we're going to go ahead and take this connector apart. This is off of a Kia Sportage. These get damaged a lot in the accident because that horn, this is a horn connector, is right up in front. So if you're going to get a frontal impact, this is probably one connector you really should know how to remove and replace. In order to do that, we're going to use our dollar store screwdriver and we're going to start taking apart the housing. So we're going to pop back a couple of clips and open up the connector. You pull off your protective housing, dust cap, and get access to the connector. The next thing you have to go after is this secondary clip. Again, this is designed to keep the terminals in place and prevent them from being pulled out. In most cases, there's little tabs or slots on the housings, the secondary clips, that allow you to get in there and pop out your protective or secondary lock. There you go. Once you've gotten this far, you're going to have to look deep inside the connector housing. Inside here, you'll see a small lever that's essentially going to drop into place in a hole in the terminal. Here's an example. As you can see, this terminal has a retention hole. There's a small plastic clip that's going to drop into this retention hole and keep it from sliding out. Every connector has it, and that's key. You have to remember that most, and I'm going to say probably greater than 90% of all the connectors out there have two ways of locking a terminal in. They're usually considered a primary and a secondary locking feature. So once you take the secondary locking feature out, you're going to again take your tiny precision screwdriver. You're going to go after this small locking tab, which is down inside the connector. It's more of a feel than anything. Lift up the tab. Oh, did you hear that click? That's what we're going after. Lift up that tab and pull out your terminal. That's how you replace this connector housing. The procedure, to put it back together again, you reverse it. In this case, I'm going to use the one that we already have disassembled. I'm going to take my connector housing. I'm going to take my terminal and slide it back into place. I'm going to secure it with my secondary locking feature. And then here comes my dust shell, back shell, or protective cover. You are ready to go. Beep, beep.